Hi, igama lami nguNomfundo wakazama umkabayeka Gqogqo the Zulu Soul Doula, and I am a 2025 Cohort 6 Tekano Fellow, Health Equity Fellow. And this is my exhibition showing people how we move people from an internal state that is quite chaotic into a state whereby they are able to hold all the complexities of who they are. So I'm going to take you through the whole process, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, so as people walk in, they will be reading the sign saying, let's take a journey into your internal state. It invites them to finding place in themselves to take the journey with us, because the journey is very symbiotic. They need to be willing to take a journey, so it's us asking permission. And that is something that is really rooted in Nguni and African spirituality, that there's no healing or start of any journey if you yourself do not give yourself permission to start it. And nobody can start the journey without you. And as they carry on, we invite them to pick up the mirror, right? And as they pick up the mirror, we ask them, what do you see? And the reason why we ask, what do you see, is because it is a matter of asking themselves, what is it that they are seeing? We're not asking who, we're asking what do they see? It is understanding that as human beings, we are complex. So we need to understand, what are these parts of ourselves? What are the things that are inside of us? So once they see themselves and they see the image, they are able to see other parts of themselves that they are not really seeing. So that's why it is what they are seeing, right? And they put it down, and then we invite them to choose a color that resonates. We use the 7 chakra colors, which are the energy spaces of the body, because that's where we hold different parts of ourselves, and that's where we know we are struggling. So depending what color they choose will tell us what is happening in the internal state and where energy needs to flow, right? And then they'll write on the page what they need to write, okay? And once they've written it, okay, they will tear the page and then fold it, okay? With the invitation, we said, find the words. We're asking them to find the words to express themselves. In this glass, there is salt. Salt clarifies and it protects and it separates. So everything they saw, which was chaotic, they are able to put in there. And it's sent back into the ether, back into the universe. You know, we believe a lot, is everywhere. So we send things back into the water with flow so they can go into the energy spaces and we are able to come back to ourselves. Then we ask them to place the headphones. And when they place these headphones on themselves, the most affirming, most grounding affirmation or meditation is played for them. It is centered in who and where do we come from, that the past, the present, and the future are all connected. So once they play this, this will change their internal space. It is an affirmation and a way of reminding them who they are, and how they are willing to show up for themselves. But it's, again, questioning themselves from the inside, all right? And then we move into this beautiful frame. This frame is a way of reminding them that in this house, your best will always be enough. And the house we are speaking about is the house that they are, the place that they are, their internal part. They need to always remember that their best will always be enough for themselves. And they need to hold that for themselves. And again, when you pull in African spirituality and you bring in how we were raised in our cultures, it is always a reminder that we need to ground in our internal physical space, which is actually an embodiment of the ether and our ancestors and everything else that is between us, right? And then we ask them to spray themselves with the peaceful resistance, right? So we ask them to pick up the spray and mist it gently around your face to clear the field and help you arrive fully. So this energy spray, inempepo phakathi, which is a beautiful herb in our culture. where impepo grounds you and kind of helps you separate the parts of yourself that do not belong in the space that you are in the moment. So that is why we ask them to do that. Then we get to the last part of the physical and emotional experience, where we say to them, now look in the mirror again. In the beginning we said pick up the mirror. Now we are inviting them to actually pick up, to look in the mirror, because now they are able to stand grounded. They are able to stand fully in their power, right? It's a very short exercise, but it's a pulling back of yourself and a gathering of all the parts of yourself. And here they are able to say, who are you seeing? It could be your calling, your ancestors. It could be the parts of yourself that you had forgotten. It's parts of yourself that now you're bringing into this moment, right? And then we ask them to express themselves, and we ask the colors. As I explained earlier, I know that the colors were more grounded colors, but it's still a way of them expressing themselves and seeing where they are, right? And then they place it into a glass of water. The water water remembers. It holds truth without judgment, right? And in the water, as we put the first water has salt. The second water is just plain water. So we're flowing it back again into the ether, sending the intentions into the ether. And then the last one, we have a resemble or an idea of what the past looks like. So from my ancestors, who are my father's mother and father, and how they got married, because this was their wedding day, and this is how they showed up in that time, right? It's a journey of history. And when you change your environment, you are able to accept yourself and understand yourself, and you are able to live in the most authentic self that you can be. These are my parents as they came through into their own journey in merging culture and tradition and all the parts of their own history. And this is myself and my wife, fully in our own identity, in our own authenticity, because we are not able to show up in this day in our full selves if we are not able to understand and accept ourselves and have radical authenticity and radical love for ourselves as individuals. So this is just memory lane that reminds people that when we arrive in our fullness, we are able to live in the most authentic and beautiful way as possible. And this over here is an altar that I have put together. Light. There is a red candle that represents the grounding that we are, maternal energy that we are. There's a white candle that will be lit during the presentation that also brings everybody into the space. And then at the back, I have one of the ceremonies that my wife and myself had. And it's such a beautiful example of how culture can merge. Because of the way that we were showing up, we couldn't get married in the normal culture that our ancestors did, but we were able to take parts of that culture and parts of ourselves and bring it and come to the water to join us as we walk this journey together. This whole installation is not about my life, but it is an example of when you show up authentically and when you show up as your full self, what is possible. Again, igama lami nguNomfundo wakazama. The Zulu Soul Doula, and I am part of Tekano Cohort 6 Fellowship, and it's been a pleasure to take you through the journey of my exhibition of, as the environment changes, cultures and traditions are also informed. Ngiyabonga.